Today we're going to talk about the area of circles and sectors. This is chapter 11, section 2, and it kind of builds off what we did yesterday. Yesterday we did length of arcs and circumference, and so just like lengths of arcs were part of the circumference, the area of a sector is part of the area of a circle. So we're going to start with our area of a circle. The formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. So if it asks us to find the area, and it gives us r, our radius, we're going to plug things in. So first we're going to write our formula, area equals pi r squared, and we're going to plug in the information we know. Area equals pi times 2.5 squared. If we do this in our calculator, we get that our area equals 19.6, and we're going to label this centimeters squared because our units on area is always a square unit. So if it's in inches or centimeters or feet, it's centimeters squared, inches squared, feet squared, etc. So this asks us to find the area if d equals 8. D is our diameter, but in order to use our area equals pi r squared, we need to know the radius. In order to find the radius, we simply divide our diameter by 2. So our radius equals 4. So now we can plug in. Area is pi times 4 squared. 4 squared is 16, so 16 times pi is 50.3, and remember inches squared. Now this last one, they give us the area of the circle, and they ask us to find the diameter. So to find the area of the circle, we're going to plug into our equation. So we have 113.1, notice it's in centimeters squared, it's an area, equals pi times r squared. First thing we're going to do is divide by pi. So we have 113.1 divided by pi equals r squared. I want to get the radius, so we're going to take the square root of both sides. You can put this entire thing in your calculator, all of it underneath the radical, and you'll get that our radius is 6.0, so we're just going to say 6. And now remember, it asked us to find the diameter. So to go from radius to diameter, we just multiply by 2. So our diameter equals 12, and we've got to remember to label it. That's 12 centimeters. This slide is really similar. We're going to find the area of a circle if they give us our radius. So remember, we do area equals pi r squared. So area equals pi times 10 squared. We'll plug that all into our calculator. We're going to get 314.2. And remember, it's area, so we're going to write centimeters squared. Now this one asks for the area of the circle if our diameter is 16 feet. Remember, to go from our diameter to our radius, we have to divide by 2. So we know our radius equals 8. So then we're going to plug into our formula. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi times 8 squared. 8 squared is 64. 64 times pi is 201.1 square feet squared. Now our last one, we're going to plug in 380 for our area, because it says our area is 380, and asks us to find the diameter again. So this equals pi r squared, divide by pi. So now we have 380 divided by pi equals r squared, and we're going to square root both sides. Once again, we can plug this in our calculator, all under the radical, and we get r equals 10.998. So we're going to round that up to 11 equals r. Remember, it asked for our diameter, so we're going to multiply by 2. So our diameter equals 22. And we can't forget our label, so that's 22 inches. Now, just like we did yesterday when we took part of the circle, we did the arc length over this circumference, we're going to do the area of a sector over the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So the area of a sector is simply just a section or part of the circle. So like this would be our sector. So we do the area of the sector, so that red piece, over pi r squared. Now recognize that pi r squared is our area of a circle. So we're doing area of a sector over area of a circle. So part of the circle over the whole circle equals the measure of our arc. So whatever that would be in degrees, right? It would be right here. Over 360. Part of our circle over our whole. How do we name a sector? So the sector that's there, we name a sector by the angle that creates the sector. So this sector would be sector APB, because APB is the angle that creates the sector. So this first one, it asks us to find the area of the sector formed by CPD. So that would be this area over here. If our central angle is 80, we know that this arc is 80 degrees. And so let's write out our formula. So we know the area of the sector over pi r squared equals the measure of our arc CD over 360. So let's plug in. We don't know our area of our sectors. We're going to call that x over pi. R is our radius, and our radius is 4. So 4 squared equals the measure of our arc, which we know is 80 over 360. We're going to cross multiply, so we get 360x equals, and we can do 4 squared is 16, times 80 is 1,280. We're just going to leave the pi for now. Divide both sides by 360. We can plug this all in our calculator, and we find that our area equals 11.2. And remember, we can't forget our units. We can see that our radius was in meters, so our area is going to be in meters squared. That's your answer. So once again, over here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to write out our formula. So we know that area of a sector over pi r squared equals the measure of our arc CD over 360. We can plug in, because we're looking for the area of the sector, we know that's going to be our x value, over pi times our radius, which is 3 squared, equals the measure of our arc. If this angle is 75, we know that this arc is 75. So this equals 75 over 360. Cross multiply, we get 360x equals, we know 3 squared is 9. 9 times 75 is 675. We're going to leave the pi again. Divide by 360. 675 pi divided by 360 is going to give us 5.9. And we know, once again, because this is area, we're going to write it in inches squared, because our radius was in inches. Looking at this one, it asks us to find the area of the sector formed by CPD. Now this is this white space, which is, I'm making red now. It is not the blue area. However, all they tell us is the arc length, which is the 212 degrees. So that's the arc length of this. We need to find our arc length of, we need to find the arc length that corresponds with the sector that we're looking at. So in order to do that, we can do 360, right, because the full circle is 360, minus 212. We get 148 degrees. So we know the arc length over here is 148 degrees. So if we write our formula out, we know that it's the area of the sector, CPD, over pi r squared equals the measure of our arc CD over 360. We don't know the area of the sector, so we're going to call that x over pi. Our radius is 10. Pi times 10 squared equals the measure of our arc, 148 over 360. Cross multiply, 360x equals 10 squared is 100. 100 times 148 is 14,800 times pi. Divide by 360. When we do that all in our calculator, we get x is 129.2. Remember our units, inches squared, because this is the area of the sector. Now our last problem gives us the area of the sector and asks us to find the area of the circle. So let's write out our equation. All right, so we're going to write out our equation. So we know that the area of the sector over pi r squared equals the measure of our arc, CD, over 360. So we know our area of a sector is 214.37. We don't know our radius, though. However, we might notice that our formula for area of a circle is pi r squared, right? The area of an entire circle is pi r squared. So we'll notice that we could, instead of writing pi r squared here, we could write area of a circle. So we can just put x here for our area of the entire circle, because that's what we're looking for, and that just substitutes in for pi r squared. Just like yesterday we did that with our circumference. So we know this equals, it tells us that our angle is 85, so we know our arc is 85 over 360. When we cross multiply, 214.37 times 360 is going to be 77,173.2 equals 85x. We're going to divide both sides by 85. And we get that x equals 907.9. And remember, it's the area of the circle, so it's going to be in square centimeters.